Pitawanakwat is with the Three Fires Confederacy from Wiikwemkoong unceded territory. He is also very fluent in all dialects, which may also include Chippewa and Algonquin. With over 40 years of research experience, Henry has worked as an archaeologist, an internship at the Museum of Civilization in Gatineau, now Museum of History, and is a member of translators for the Translation Bureau Government of Canada. He was one of the translators at the federal election debate in 2019. Henry enjoys working with the language and is also qualified to teach the language, which is in danger of becoming extinct.
Ani, Henry Pitawanakwat this the cost we can come midom the sing in Jabak. Nangon got what done. Shasha Gabashebok. Gabashebok, Indigenous Nabik. Mumpi, it not king. Manogo Shauno. North America is not Kadik. Kaiman the same boundary, Kogites, no nam, boundary no goetik. There was no boundary for my people separating the United States from Canada. Still to this day that applies to us. We're North American Native people. We're not Canadians nor American, we're North American. We have lived in this continent for centuries and centuries and centuries of. And most recently the scientists have studied the DNA of my people and have found they disproved the theory that we crossed the Bering Strait, because they have found they went as far as the Bering Strait on this side of the Bering Strait to take the DNA, and they went as far as south as southern United States to compare the two. And they were very shocked that the DNA from that point of Bering Strait to the extreme tip of South America were the same amongst my people. And then they tried on the other side of Bering Strait, and there they found no trace of it. It's very unique DNA that has been proven by our scientists. We have been talking and trying to tell people this for many, many years, and it took the scientists to finally prove it. Our people were nomads from time immemorial because we believed that nobody should own land. So we would stay in one area for a certain amount of time, maybe 5 to 10 years in between that span. We knew we were depleting the nutrients from the soil. We knew we were depleting the population of the animals in the area, because that's what we thrived on. That was our survival. So, in order to allow the soil to rejuvenate and the animal population to regenerate, we would have different places we called home. We would leave Manitoulin Island, which was one of the locations, and we would travel south. Not only a few miles, we would go quite far south, mostly around the Great Lakes for my people. The tip of Lake Superior, maybe on the southern side. We have a lot of family up in Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Minnesota, all these areas. We have our people. Because when the government took over on both sides, on the Canadian and the United States side, we became a big problem for the governments, because we had massive communities all across North America. We were known as the Indian problem. How to get rid of these people was a priority for the government. So it began, the struggles with my people. Millions and millions of my people were wiped out, massacred, because we were the Indian problem. We were in the way to build an empire for these governments. We were put, those of us that were left, we started making treaties with the government. And they told us, if you relinquish this land, we will take care of you. We will put you in this, what they're now called as reservations. A small plot of land for a group of people. Little did it occur to us that these lands that we were put on, there was no resources there. The land was full of clay. It was hard for survival. They knew this. They wanted to get rid of us still. I'll give you an example of what this happened back in the early 1800s. That recently, I could say. Bondhead was traveling through the North Shore by Perry Island, by French River, and he came across Manitoulin Island. Right away, he knew there was Native people there. He seen them, but there wasn't that many. And then he said to himself, well, this is such a beautiful big island, and there's not really that many natives here. It's wasted land. With that, the Bondhead came up with an idea. He says, okay, I know what to do. The Indian problem. I know what we can do. We'll concentrate them on Manitoulin Island. So that was his first big plan, was to put all the Native people on Manitoulin Island. He said this is a huge island. It can accommodate all these people. With that came the 1836 treaty, the Bondhead Treaty of Manitoulin Island. It attracted a lot of our neighbors, a lot of our ancestors, our relations on the Michigan side that were living on the Michigan side. And migration started. Some of the chiefs said, there's something in the story that's not right, they said. And it was these chiefs that said, they're up to something. They want us all in the same area, they're going to massacre us again. So they said, Shingok was the first one. He said, okay, I'm going to stay on the western tip of Manitoulin Island, and we'll keep lookout here. Another community along the North Shore said, okay, we'll watch out here. This is how all these communities on the North Shore were created, all the way to Perry Island. Which, again, the government seen, hey, it's not working. Us to concentrate them on Manitoulin Island is not working. They're not going there. We have these communities that are isolating themselves, putting themselves along the North Shore. Thus, the 1850 Robinson-Huron Treaty was created. Again, it was to control our people. Robinson-Huron Treaty is called the North Shore Treaty. It's stemmed from Perry Island, all these reserves on the North Shore, Shawanaga, Meganedawan, Garden River, Sagamok, all these little reserves on the North Shore, they're all included in that 1850 treaty. And thus, because that happened, they reviewed the Manitoulin Island Treaty. All that, we gave them too much land. So McDougall was the Indian agent for the government at the time. So he said, no, this island is too big. We need to take this island away. So came the McDougall Treaty of 1862. My people were furious of what they were trying to do. They didn't agree. They didn't want to surrender Manitoulin Island. No agreement was reached on the tables that had happened. This was on a Saturday night, apparently, when the talks were happening from my community, Wiikwemkoong. There was many chiefs participated in this meeting. So the Indian agent said, of the day said, oh, we cannot seem to we have nothing happening here. We can't seem to reach a decision, he said. We'll reconvene on Monday to talk, he said. And the chiefs from my community, Wiikwemkoong, said, oh, that's awesome. We need a break. It's been too stressful here, they said. Of course, this is all spoken in the language. It is not in English. I'm just translating what they probably said. They said, and since the missionaries have come across, we had missionaries that had taken over our people to educate our people. We had Catholics, Protestants, Anglicans that started to take over, change our spiritual beliefs to whatever denomination of religion they were in. Our reserve was Catholic. We had churches, massive churches. Although my people believed there was only one God, there was only one higher power, they agreed to listen to the Catholic because they believe it's the same one we're talking to as the one we spoke to in our own ways. So that being said, my people were really happy when they said we'll reconvene on Monday. They relied on spirituality and religion at the time to solve issues. They said they'll give us a chance to attend church tomorrow, which was a Sunday, and then we'll be back Monday to reconvene on the meeting. So all the chiefs of Wiikwemkoong, since they lived, the other chiefs were on the other parts of the island, so it was too far for them to head home to reconvene on Monday, because they traveling to the other side of the island took a day, so by the time they get there, it would be time to come back for them. So they stayed. And what had happened was, once my chiefs from Wiikwemkoong had left that place of the meeting, barrels and barrels of whiskey were brought out. They said, this is a gift, this is a celebration of, us being able to willing to talk to you, your willingness to talk. That was a trick, a massive trick. Once these people, my people, the chiefs that were left at that meeting, fell under duress from drinking, incapable of making the right decision, they signed that 1862 treaty, which relinquished our title to Manitoulin Island. Monday morning come, my chiefs from Wiikwemkoong came to reconvene on the meeting. They were told, you're too late. We have signed off. It was signed by the other chiefs. Some of these chiefs, I think one of them was a spokesperson for our community at the time. Siganak was his name. But he was well educated. He was taught, and he worked for the Indian agent. So my people sort of figured he was bought out. He was one of the signatories of that 1862 treaty. Thus being, he wasn't allowed on our reserve. He was told, no, you betrayed us, you're on your own. He continued. He lived off our reservation, which is now Wiikwemkoong Unceded Reserve. This is how Wiikwemkoong came to be an unceded reserve. Our chiefs did not sign for that territory. And we fought hard and we said, no, this part of the island is not in the treaty. Still today, we still hold that title to Wiikwemkoong Unceded Reserve. And Siganak, they figured he signed because of his old age too. He was close to 90 or even 90 at the time he signed. But like I said, he was a spokesperson for the Indian agent, and we took him as so. So he was barred from our community. And this is how the next community next to off our reserve is known as a Siganak Township. It was given under that chief that had betrayed my people. So that was the history of Manitoulin Island. And what had happened was, their plan was, they figured, they didn't know how resourceful we were at the time. They didn't know our people. So this person that had planned to isolate us on Manitoulin Island in 1830 treaty, Bondhead Treaty, 1836. He came back in 1850, and he clearly visualized that his plan did not work, because what he seen, he was astonished. When he came to Manitoulin to check on my people, he didn't expect to see what he seen. He had figured we had died off from starvation, because we were given lands that were full of clay, lands that were not, it's beauty. We had a lot of fresh water. But as resourceful as my people were, we found ways to survive. When Bondhead came back to Manitoulin Island, he was astonished to see there was ships lined up on the shores. My people were massively trading maple syrup, sap, for tools coming from Europe. He was astonished. Cornfields full of corn. We were thriving. And that's not what he wanted. He thought we were going to die off on this island. He was startled. And that's what led to us losing the island, because their plan did not work. Still today, Wiikwemkoong is unceded. And the reason I speak of this is it's a genocide against my people that has been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries. And it's still happening today. This is my message here. It's still happening today. Rather than inaction, it's in the policies. It's in the policies that are being introduced to my people. Today, First Nations Land Management Act. They want us to surrender our final, what we have left. They want to completely assimilate us to become another person. As one chief had told me one time, he seen what was happening. He says, you could raise a red fox, he said, and you can call it a wolf all its life. That red fox will never be a wolf, he says. That's the same thing with our people, he says. We're trying to be assimilated. We're never going to be the white people. We are who we are. We have our spiritual. Our creation created us the way we are. We are human beings, just like you are. It doesn't matter what race you're in. It's just that we have our own purpose. Our purpose was to be the stewardess of the land, to protect the land. But we were mistaken. Like we thought, they thought we were trying to stop everything. My people never believed in money or anything like that. That goes to bring me another few issues that I have in mind. One of them was the tribal system. All the people of North America were Anishinaabe. We didn't go by tribal system. We didn't go by Cherokee. We didn't go by Iroquois. We didn't go by all these tribal names that you find now. We went by clans. To us, animals has a superior quality, something that the humans didn't have. And each animal had their own purpose. I come from a bear clan, which is known as the medicine clan. We were responsible for the medicines. We had the crane clans, Chachok. We had the otter clan. We had various clans. We had them all over the place. The tribal system was created by the government to divide and conquer, to look at each other different, to separate my people. And in the long run, our people started fighting amongst each other even. It's still happening today. What's happening is we're being bought out. We're losing our purpose. And we get offered by the government, if you stay on our side and if you convince your people to relinquish this part of the land or relinquish this title or relinquish these promises we made on the treaties, we'll give you money. People are getting rich from being in denial of what's really happening. And I bring this reality to you because this is the reality. And it's very important for people to know what is happening. We had a land ownership in my community for such a long time. It was called Certificate of Occupation. The certificate of occupation was in no different way from a certificate of possession. Certificate of possession is the highest ownership you can have on a piece of property as a single person. The INAC, Indian Northern Affairs Canada, forced the CP system on in my community just most recently. I used to work for the Lands Department in my community in Wiikwemkoong, and I tried to put a stop to this. I said, they're doing that again, divide and conquer. We own Wiikwemkoong Unceded Reserve as a massive whole of my people. But when you bring in the certificate of possession, everybody owns a plot here and there and there and there and there. Nobody can input on that person's private property because it's certificate of possession. Certificate of occupation was just as good. It was transferable in estates. It was respected. The only difference was if there was nobody to transfer it to in your family, it went back to the community. It went to the band as a whole. But nobody had actual certificate of possession for any land. But it was respected as so. And then now the First Nation Land Management Act. They are trying to erase every treaty promise that they have made on my people. Slowly it's disappearing. We had, the last that was noted, we had trillions of dollars in a trust fund for my people across Canada with the government. That was our share of the resources that are being used, the oil, the gas. They promised us with those resources we will be taken care of. Our dental will be taken care of. Our education will be taken care of. We had massive promises of what was going to be taken care of. Today, I have to fight with my dentist to tell him this was promised to us on the treaties. Help me, fight the government. They don't agree, send in another application. And I have found dentists that have agreed and have helped me. Same with the prescriptions. They want us to pay now. It was always covered. We were offered these things in the treaties. These were agreements made. This is not us trying to fight the government saying we want something free. This was promised to us. This is all in the treaties. In 1836, we looked at the Queen as the owner towards this. The British owned more or less, had a say in Canada at the time. The Queen himself in the 1836 treaty, which is still flagged on the wall in my community, how the treaty starts. My little red children of the forest is how the treaty starts. This is not a word of a lie. If you pull up the 1836 treaty, Bondhead Treaty, you will see that as it's worded. This is what we were considered. We were named many things. We were called savages, we were called uncivilized, we were called all this stuff. We had a relationship with Mother Earth. We had a relationship with the animals. We were far more superior than today's technology. But we were misunderstood. Everything you see today has been predicted by my people. This pandemic that's happening today, I heard it from my own ears, from my own dad. He told me this is what's going to happen. We have to take things seriously and look at reality. We live in a world of denial, control. We call this freedom, it's not freedom. We're dictated to live in every which way. You know, I don't understand how we could have accepted this. An example would be alcohol. Alcohol is acceptable. It's sold in stores. Alcohol is nothing but poison to your system. It's a poison. There is no other word to say but alcohol is poison. This is what gets you drunk. We're allowed to accept these things. And it's such a pity, like, you know, to see how many people are suffering in today's world. only because of the way we were educated and the way we were forced to live. And I'm hoping my talk here will open some eyes and open your eyes to reality. My people talk through experience. We don't assume. We don't make judgments. We often shake our head and just remove ourselves from a situation when we see wrong, because we don't want. We've seen too much. We've been traumatized.